Where else can you find in Zone 1 central London that you're right next to one of the world's most famous sporting grounds? You are literally looking out onto the grounds. When there is a match going on, you can literally see the ball being thrown.
I almost feel like the scarcity of Halo hasn't actually been priced in yet.
You start to get your head into this project, say 12 months off or 6 months off, and at what price is Nanette going to be charging us then?
It's owned by the royal family, and it's just something that will always maintain its value, in my opinion.
Hi, I'm Ollie, and today I've got my business partner and founder of Source Investments, Tom Jewell, and we're joined by Nanette Hung, Head of Sales at Berkeley St Edward. So today we want to chat about the Halo, but specifically we want to talk about the penthouses at the Halo. We'll come on to sort of why they stand out versus other premium developments, and we'll come on to actually the financial aspect. But initially, Nanette, it would just be good to get your take on why you think the Halo stands out versus other premium developments in London.
I don't want to make this sound like a cliche, but they are so iconic in the sense that there is nothing else like it. Where else can you find in Zone 1 central London that you're right next to one of the world's most famous sporting grounds? The fact that you're 10 minutes just walk from the Thames, you're only up the road from Europe's largest regeneration of Nine Elms, but you get so much more value for money here. And the 18 penthouses that we've got, they, range from 1,500 square foot all the way just over 2,000 square foot. But the key thing is, they all benefit from a huge terrace offering direct views out onto the cricket grounds. And actually, whether you're a cricket fan or not, some of them, because of the way the building is shaped, you have apartments that look over the city. So you've got fantastic views of the city and Canary Wharf skyline, or you can be looking west towards Nine Elms and Battersea. So cricket fan or not, you've got a real sort of unique offering there.
Yeah, I think just to touch on that, obviously for those who aren't aware, this is being built inside of the iconic and listed gasholder, which whether you're a cricket fan or not, you probably have seen a photo of the gasholder somewhere of the backdrop of some sort of, sporting event at some point. So that's obviously where the project's going to be based, inside of that in a sort of circular, hence why it's called the Halo.
Yeah, I mean, I think because we chat about it so much, we kind of take it for granted now, but obviously it's grade 2 listed because it's been the backdrop to so many iconic sporting matches over the years. Nanette, you actually mentioned it a second ago, sort of touching on Nine Elms and the regeneration that's going on over there. Nine Elms definitely seems to be something that a lot more people know about. And I think that's because there are now, there's loads of residential blocks in Nine Elms. It's been sold pretty heavily here in the UK and overseas. So a lot of people just know about Nine Elms, but they don't really know, I guess, about Oval, even though it is literally a mile down the road.
Yeah.
And I think for us, that is also something that stands out. Whether you're looking at buying one of these as an owner-occupier or an investor, it's so different from just talking about the penthouses, getting another penthouse in Nine Elms where you've just got another residential block right in front of you. I think that's the thing for us. That sort of scarcity element, there will only ever be, there's 18 penthouses at Halo, right?
That's right. So there's only 18. And exactly like you said, as an investor, you want to buy something that has longevity and value, right? So as you mentioned, in Nine Elms, there are loads of developments and they have penthouses, but what you want is something special. So whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years later, these penthouses, for example, at the Halo, the Kia Oval isn't going anywhere. It's owned by the royal family, and it's just something that will always maintain its value, in my opinion.
I think also with the Halo, being honest, there's just going to be so many eyeballs on the project. If you've been to the Oval more recently, or if you're going there at some point and you're watching this soon, you just look up and you'll see the 18 penthouses at the top of the Halo. And from a real estate point of view, an investment point of view, getting that much media attention and eyeballs is only going to be a good thing. And obviously it's going to be a real prestige and, a real prestigious thing to own and be one of those 18 owners of those apartments that have direct views straight into the ground off they've all got amazing large terraces.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you think about being in the Halo, owning one of those penthouses, going out onto your terrace with direct views of the cricket ground, we've already said it, but I don't think you have to be a cricket fan to appreciate that. I think the vibe that you're sort of going to have there in the summer on your terrace, looking into the cricket, or just in general being out there, is going to be so unique versus anything else that we see in London.
That's it. And I think cricket matches, we say this, we have a lot of people who say, oh, actually, I don't watch any cricket. And cricket matches are what? Only from, is it May till September.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's it. And the rest of the year, it's just protected ground. So you're just looking out onto this beautiful green space that's always going to remain protected.
Mm.
Yeah, and I definitely want to come on to some of the pricing element because I think it's really interesting when you dig into the data. But I think before I do that, it would actually be good to hear from you in terms of when sort of the inner workings of Berkeley. How did you actually go about pricing something like the Halo and particularly the penthouses? Because you don't really have a comparable.
That's it. It's actually really quite interesting because, like you said, there's nothing actually comparable. There's not a development where, yes, there's elements where you've got another Key Oval cricket ground facing apartments. So looking at sort of in terms of competition, we took elements from what you can get in Nine Elms, obviously. We're not Nine Elms, we know that, but we're literally not far. We're still 10 minutes away from River Thames. We launched Oval back in 2019. Phase 1 and Phase 2 have completed. We've seen people gain incredible sort of value from when they bought in Phase 1. The Halo itself is the iconic building. Like you said, it's the listed Grade 2 gas holder building. And it's the only building in the whole of Oval Village where it's all private, 199 apartments. And of course, you've got the facilities. You've got 2 floors of facilities on the ground and lower grounds where you can literally go straight down the lift to. So pricing these they're unique, but we have taken elements into what we've achieved and how iconic it is looking out into the cricket field. And yeah.
Yes, it's hard to price and actually you sort of like, when you were talking about Nine Elms there, kind of saying we're not Nine Elms. And in my opinion, that's a good thing. Personally, having friends who live in Nine Elms, it's nice, but it is very built up. It's not overly convenient. Like if you live in the centre of Nine Elms, in terms of going and getting a tube, a little bit more convenient now that you've had one come online in the power station. But depending on exactly where you are, it's a bit awkward. You're kind of between the power station and Vauxhall. Mm. Whereas obviously when we're looking at the Halo, it's a much better location. You know, you're 5-6 minutes away from Vauxhall Oval. You've got Kennington, Zone 1 tube station. So in my opinion, it's placed better. So, okay, so you do like the Nine Elms comparison. In my opinion, the only real fair comparison is the power station, the actual power station, because again, it's something, you're not going to have another power station just pop up. You know, it can't be replicated. And that's exactly the same as the Halo. And if you look at where pricing is in power station now, particularly if you look at penthouses, you're at 5-6K a foot. And we're at 2 to 2.2K a foot. Looking at this as an investment company as we do, I almost feel like the scarcity of Halo hasn't actually been priced in yet. Do you think that's fair or?
I think that's, completely right. I think most people think sometimes when people think of penthouses, they think they're priced out or they're priced incredibly high. So when you look at penthouses over in Nine Elms, for example, like you just said, over in Battersea, they come out at, £4,000, £6,000, £5,000 a foot, even up to £6,000 a foot. I think a lot of people don't realise actually how good value for money you can get down in the Halo. We've got penthouses starting from 2.65 there. And when you look at sort of previous phases that we've sold, phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, the pinnacle, we've achieved sort of great sort of pounds per square foot level. We've got great comps and we've got a lot of buyers who've bought initially in phase 1 who've made, a lot of money and they rent incredibly well as well. So when we're talking about sort of pricing the Halo, we did look at things like King's Cross is very similar in terms of its iconic Grade 2, gas holder building. We did look at sort of Lords over by St John's Wood because that's sort of the only other, I say, cricket ground comparable. So we took sort of all those elements, factoring into Oval Village being the biggest sort of regeneration site in Oval.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Lords and St John's Wood, I think you've had more projects come to market overlooking Lords, actually. Not there's loads, but there's been more projects and penthouse specific projects being built on top of other buildings, climbing other buildings to try and get views. And you've got a few more benchmarks in the market for those type of apartments. I mean, we actually got invited to go and see one more recently. There was, I think, a portfolio of 6 beautiful duplex apartments overlooking Lords. I mean, they started at £7 million. So you kind of come back to the Halo and the unique offering of the Halo, all the things we kind of mentioned in terms of the amenities and the experience for someone, the lifestyle living there, straight overlooking the ground. And these aren't sort of hijacking views. These are like, if everyone knows the gas holder and how it's located, it's kind of almost built into the stadium.
Yeah.
And you've got access just straight down into the ground. It's not really comparable to anything that we've seen overlooking Lords and the penthouses that we've seen and we've actually visited ourselves there. But right now you can, like you said in that, penthouses start at 2.65 million. That's a whole different buyer demographic to someone who wants to spend 7 million, who wants to maybe spend time in London and come watch some cricket and own something unique.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to look at something, and when you talk about penthouses, it's sometimes hard to look at that as value for money. I think, traditionally when you're talking about these sort of sums, but you have got to compare to what else you're looking at in the market. And I think for us, that is what really stands out. And, everything that we're chatting about with the Halo, we think is really exciting from a financial aspect, but there's finances aside. I think what gets a lot of people excited is just being part of the Halo, being what looks like essentially another stand in the Oval Cricket Ground. You don't have to love cricket to get really excited about that.
I think when we started looking at the scheme, oddly, actually, going on from what you just said, we actually thought that being a penthouse buyer is potentially one of the best opportunities to see the biggest returns from a capital growth perspective.
Yeah.
There's only 18 of them. It's a 200 block scheme. The USPs you get of being the only ones with real direct views, it's going to be, we can see a bit of a fight to be one of those 18 people who's going to own one of these penthouses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think actually there's a real opportunity there. I think at that, if you're an investor with that kind of money at that end of the spectrum, there's a real opportunity, I think, to potentially, that's become a really exciting investment opportunity, which isn't normally spoken about when it comes to penthouses. A lot of it is sort of purely lifestyle driven. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, because I think it can be hard to make an investment case when you're talking millions and sometimes double digit millions. But then when you do look at those numbers and you go, we've got a lot of investors who aren't buying penthouses in the Halo. They just want to be part of the Halo. There's 199 units, finite supply, as we've spoken about. It's just exciting to be part of it. Then you obviously whittle that down to penthouses, and we're talking about 18 apartments. And then actually you can go through the 18 and pick out the ones that are really super premium, right? In terms of the best views, the best terraces and aspect. So there really isn't a lot. So I think whilst it feels strange to talk about penthouses and value for money, but I've said it and I'll say it again, 2.2 to 2.2K a foot, pounds. That is so competitive for the area. It's just quite a bit below where everything else is. And as I say, if you're going to compare to something, I think you have to look at the power station.
And I think also, we're 3 years off. So this is the time to have this, the clients that we're speaking to who are chatting to us about the penthouses, this is the time to have those conversations, because we're 3 years away and there's 18 of them. You start to get your head into this project, say 12 months off or 6 months off when it comes to completion, and all the hype is going to be around the ground. How many's going to be left? And at what price is the net going to be charging us then?
Yeah, well, that was my next question. So given everything that I feel like we're giving you too much ammo here, actually, in terms of prices, but, given everything that we've spoken about there, we're 2.5 years off plan. Sales are going really well, as we've all seen. Where do you see prices going here? I know you can't necessarily say an exact figure, but in terms of the Berkeley model, what's the expectation in terms of pricing getting close to completion?
I think with something so unique like these penthouses, as you said, the views that we've got on the interactive, they don't do it justice. I've been on site. You're literally, as you said, the views are incredible. You are literally looking out onto the grounds. You can see when there is a match going on, you can literally see the ball being thrown. And I think once buyers can actually physically get into these apartments and actually see those type of views, I think they're going to get snapped up if they haven't been already. Just because a lot of these purchasers, they're buying to live in. So they want to sort of touch and feel and see something. But the benefit of actually buying something off plan, like you said, almost 3 years off plan, we have the benefit of actually maybe even tailoring and making this apartment more bespoke to them, especially if they're going to be living in it and enjoying it.
Obviously, one of the big benefits is obviously we're in so early. We're 2.5 years early for those who, we're speaking to now are interested in reserving. This is the best time to do that.
I think for us, as a business, we've worked on this since the very start. We were in Mumbai pre-sale period. We were there for the UK launch, which feels a long time ago, but wasn't actually that long ago. Sorry, the launch was
June.
Back in
Yeah,
June.
it was June, yeah.
And I think it just really highlights how early we are on the project. So I think if you're watching this and you'd like to find out more about the Halo generally, or specifically get into the details on the penthouses, then there'll be a link in the description below, and feel free to get in touch with one of the team and we'll be happy to help. Thanks very much.